far surpassing some of the best-known wagering sites in America. While other rewards programs simply offer you points redeemable for gift cards, Capital OTB's rebates are paid to you in actual cash. Plus, Capital OTB gives you full and immediate access to your money. So if all you're getting now are points and gift cards, join Capital OTB Player Rewards today and get cash back. Visit CapitalOTBBet.com and sign up today. No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. Bet any place, anytime at CapitalOTBBet.com. And be sure to download our new mobile app from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
Pick, bet, and cheer on Woodbine and Mohawk racetracks. Thoroughbred and harness action. The wagers are just the beginning. Watch award-winning broadcasts covering both breeds. Incredible battles contested over the most unique grass course in North America. Experience the full fields in over 220 live harness days. Get access to free handicapping material and join the ranks of Woodbine and Mohawk players from all over the globe. For more information, visit woodbineentertainment.com.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Racecourse, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. Pannell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. Thoroughfan, giving the fan a voice. Find them at thoroughfan.com. Woodbine Racetrack. Pick, bet, and cheer on world-class horse racing north of the border. And the new Capital OTB mobile app. Wager anytime, any place, anywhere. Download it free from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
Good morning. The Racing Across America live from Saratoga on this Thursday morning. Happy to join you. I'm Seth Merrow. Coming up a little bit later on the show, Mike Welch from the Daily Racing Forum will have a regular Thursday morning visit. We'll talk a little bit about the stakes action coming up on Saturday, highlighted, of course, by the Whitney. Our friend Gene Kirshner will come in. Typically, we have him by phone a few times during the year. He writes about horse racing for the Buffalo News, but he's in town for the week, so I thought we'd get him over here live. So Gene Kirshner towards the end of our hour, but we're going to kick things off at the top of the show. Our friend Humberto Chavez joins us from the Racetrack Chaplaincy of America, the New York division. Good morning, Humberto.
Good morning, Seth. Good to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Happy to have you here. And again, we'll talk a little bit about the event tonight coming up. But before we talk about that, just fill us in. Give us a little bit. The Racetrack Chaplaincy, a great addition to the backstretch on many, many racetracks. Talk a little bit about the mission of the Racetrack Chaplaincy.
Well, obviously the mission is to spread God's love, to be the hands and feet of God in the backstretch and in the horse racing industry. But we've seen it that it is important, obviously, to meet all the needs of the backstretch employees, whether it's physical, mental, social, or educational. Meet them where they're at, and that's what Racetrack Chaplaincy just doesn't do only here in New York, but across the country.
And talk a little bit about some of the services you provide to the backstretch workers.
It varies from back-to-school program, which we kick off in a couple of weeks, all throughout Belmont, Aqueduct, and Saratoga. And it goes also into immigration and every other aspect that anybody in a community would need. We're there to answer all their needs.
And we have the website address up there if people want to learn more about the Racetrack Chaplaincy. And again, as you say, it's all around the country. You're heading up the New York division.
Correct. And this is what we do out here. We have the largest workforce of the horse racing industry here in New York. And I'm blessed to just be part of it and be able to, once again, assist many of the workers that make the backbone of this horse racing industry.
And you talked about the social aspect, and I know across the street a lot of the social aspect goes on, and that's a big part of what happens with the backstretch workers. You know, they're here all month long. This isn't home for them necessarily, so it's important to provide some kind of social outlet. You do a lot of that work as well.
Absolutely. We have a great tent sponsored by Mary Lou Whitney and John Hendrickson, which there's some activity going on every single night. So if there's a volunteer opportunity, well, what a great opportunity to do that in the backstretch appreciation tent that they provide for the Saratoga backstretch. So it's really, really neat what the city itself of Saratoga Springs does through that tent for the backstretch workers.
I know driving up Union Avenue occasionally after the races, I'll hear plenty of activity going on over by the tent.
So we have our soccer league as well, so that runs extremely well. And then at the end of the last week here, we have a great championship game, which is extremely competitive, you know. And then we have our basketball backstretch tournaments that we run throughout the season as well.
And you mentioned volunteers. I'd never even thought about that. Do you solicit volunteers? And if somebody from the community would be interested in doing that, would they stop by your office?
Absolutely. You could check us out on our website, rtcany.org, or stop by the recreational hall here at the racetrack, and you can find us there. Our offices are open every single day. There's no dark day for us, but we welcome anybody who wants to give back to this horse racing industry.
And the rec hall is across the street from the track, correct? Over in the Oklahoma area, essentially. Yes. But you're right on Union Avenue.
Yes.
It's the white building right over there.
Yep.
You mentioned it's kind of 365 days a year, so it's not only up here. Obviously, it's downstate as well, Aqueduct and Belmont.
It sure is. We're once again, this horse racing industry here in New York never shuts down. So that's unique of itself. Like any other racetracks, they have their season and they shut down and they move from track to track. New York racing is year-round, and that means help year-round as well. That's where we come in to meet those needs of those workers.
You still have some folks downstate when we're up here?
Absolutely.
Because obviously there's horses still downstate.
Belmont is pretty packed.
Yeah.
And where we have our offices out there running as well, meeting their needs and running enrichment programs for kids, any other activities that we might need for them to be part of it as well. We run it out of our Belmont office.
Curious, how did you get into what you're doing now?
I come from a construction background, and always had the urge in my heart to serve our community. And it just came about that I was a co-pastor of a local church near Elmont, and the chaplain prior to myself, he said, "Hey, you might be a good candidate." And when he decided to retire, he said, "Why don't you try it, see if you could obtain the position as the chaplain of the racing industry here in New York." I tried with 5 others, and I was picked. I was blessed to be able to be the one picked. This is my 14th Saratoga.
And I'm assuming it's got to be really fulfilling because you have a group out there, as I say. You know, a lot of them are foreign workers, and so, you know, they come up here to Saratoga, foreign or not, this isn't their home, and so I think, you know, you have a flock out there, so to speak, who are probably appreciative of what you do.
It is extremely rewarding. We have seen from the very small to the largest, and just before we came up to Saratoga, we were able to go out to a closing of a family who bought their first house here. Nice. So those types of things are fuel that drives us to continue to do what we're doing. For myself personally, and the staff that just makes the racetrack chaplaincy here in New York.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the event tonight. It should be a lot of fun. It's an annual event, basketball, the jockeys versus the horsemen. I will be on the horsemen team. I will be shooting to get my first points there after trying for the last, 2 or 3 years. And as I said, last year, missing the 1-footer was a little bit humiliating. So I'm looking for redemption. Talk a little bit about the event, what time, where we are.
Well, the event it's once again, I believe it's so much fun, all right, where we have the industry who takes over the 6 weeks here in Saratoga Springs, and what better way to showcase a great our industry that at a basketball game where we have athletes and then we have non-athletes playing the game of basketball. So we will be at 6:30, tip-off at 7 o'clock over at the Saratoga Recreation Center over at 15 Vanderbilt, Saratoga Springs, and hope to see you there.
Yeah, and again, it's highly recommended. It's a lot of fun. We got some footage here. I said it earlier. You think of jockeys, and you don't normally put jockeys and basketball together, but some of those guys can play.
They sure could, and they've been practicing for a long time. And they go out in April or May. They're slow kind of season, and they're out there shooting hoops at our local gyms back in Belmont. So they look forward to being part of this game. I will also say we may have a shot. We pulled it up yesterday, but occasionally you get a ringer amongst the jockeys as well. Yes, we had last year Rashad Lewis, former NBA champion. We're not sure. There might be a special guest coming in today.
All right, and it's always a lot of fun. And as you can see there, an extra 2 feet on the jockeys team when some of these ringers show up. But it's always a lot of fun. Highly recommended. And this year, a lot of the monies, most or all of the monies, are going to that back-to-school program.
It sure is. We're blessed to have such great partners like Lyle Stable, Mary Lou Whitney Stable, Zayad, E5 Racing Stable, and most of the money that we're going to be receiving is going to our back-to-school program. And there'll be times in halftime where we'll be doing a raffle. We're raffling off a PS4, the brand new one that just came out, and a half-court shot for $500. And all this money is going to our back-to-school program, which will be handing out about 350 backpacks in a couple of weeks.
And somebody's got to hit the backboard with that half-court shot at least. And that's one where you get up there and you think, I don't know how hard to throw it. And sometimes it comes up a little bit short, but it's always fun to watch and root and see if somebody can get it in. The raffle's always a lot of fun. The basketball game, again, 7 o'clock will be the tip-off. And 15 Vanderbilt Avenue Rec Center, what are we, 3 blocks from the track, 4 blocks from the track? It's right over here.
It's right. It's around the corner.
Yeah, and it's always a lot of fun, highly recommended, and it's a great organization as well, the Racetrack Chaplaincy. Again, we'll reiterate, if folks do think, hey, they might be interested in kind of volunteering during the season, they can stop by the rec hall right across the street.
Absolutely, or go to our website, rtcany.org. And once again, you're in for another year. And this is your hat that really just enters you into the game. And we signed the contract, and you're in. All right?
I appreciate it. And as I say, show up tonight and root me on. I got to get 2 points. I play like 4 nights a week during the wintertime, and I can't make a stinking basket. Pressure's on. That's what it is. The pressure's on for the basketball game. But looking forward to it tonight. We tout everybody to swing by this evening. And, again, it's all for a worthy charity, the Racetrack Chaplaincy. Humberto, appreciate the visit, and good luck tonight. Good luck going forward with the organization.
Thank you, Seth. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll take a next break. When we come back, going to take a look at some of the action from yesterday and just update you on some other news and notes. A little bit later on, Mike Welch. A little bit after that, Gene Kirshner. All of that right after this. Stay tuned.
Whether you're winding down from a day at the track or gearing up for the night, celebrate summer with live music, fabulous food, and the best happy hour in Saratoga. The Diamond Club at Embassy Suites, where the world meets in Saratoga.
Not at the track and not near a computer? No problem. Wager with Capital OTB's touch-tone wagering system and you'll never get shut out again. Capital OTB's touch-tone wagering system is quick, simple to use, and guarantees your wagers are accurate and placed on time. For more information, visit CapitalOTB.com or call Capital OTB's customer service hotline at 800-292-BETS. Capital OTB's touch-tone wagering system. Never get shut out again.
Don't miss the 2017 Thorough Fan Annual Awards Brunch with special guest speaker Donna Barton Brothers. This annual event is Saturday, August 12th at the Embassy Suites in Saratoga Springs, New York. Go to thoroughfan.com for tickets and information.
Coming right back, the American, the European, and it is theatrical in front. Trempolino driving hard, full out and determined to get him, and here is the winner, and theatrical has won it. Absolutely spectacular.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Going on now at Capital OTB. It's Bet 100, get 100. Simply open a new Capital Bets account. Bet $100 and get $100 cash back. That's free money just in time for Saratoga. Bet 100, get 100 now at Capital OTB.
Relax with a signature cocktail or one of our world-class wine selections while enjoying indoor or outdoor dining for lunch and dinner. The Diamond Club at the Embassy Suites, winner of the 2016 and 2017 Wine Spectator Award of Excellence.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America, brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com. Just running over the promos again, do want to remind you that today, Gloversville branch, if you are a patron there, swing on by. Fan Appreciation Day. As always, what I say is, if you are a patron at any of the branches where we have a Fan Appreciation Day, we want to see you there because it gives us our chance to say thank you to you for your patronage. So swing by, contest, giveaways and whatnot, kicking off at about noontime today at the Gloversville branch. Play a little Saratoga this afternoon. Should be a lot of fun. Fan Appreciation Day at the Gloversville branch. Tomorrow, it is Bounty Bet Day. Over $1,200 in the bounty. If you are the single pick 4 winner, you pull down the whole bounty. If there are multiples, you get a piece of the consolation. And again, you're only playing against Capital OTB Bet players. So it's not the entire universe of players out there. And again, you don't have to do anything special. Just play the late pick 4 with your Capital OTB Bet account, and you're in. Tomorrow, the Bounty Bet. Friday. Saturday, there is a trifecta challenge at the Clubhouse Racebook, and pick 4 Sundays as well. Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. All right. I mentioned it during the Handicappers Report. I wanted to show it because this was a freakishly good performance. A lot of times you also wonder, I will admit, what was behind this horse when you have a freakishly good performance. We will know when some of these horses come back next time, including March X Express. The finale yesterday, I like March X Express, the March Express. The Pletcher first-time starter by Shanghai Bobby, be the number 7 horse, will not be difficult to pick out here in the replay because totally misses the break. And at this point, I'm kind of, oh, this isn't good because first-time starters, I want them up in the mix when they get to the end of the first furlong, and this horse wasn't. And just watch, because Jose Ortiz, not once the race is over, I credit him with being amazingly patient. But as the race is going on, I'm thinking, with the bad break, he just kind of gave up on this, and so he's not engaging. They're getting to the end of the backstretch, they're getting around the turn, and the horse just is not making up any ground. So again, I thought, Jose is kind of giving up. And then as they turn into the stretch, he kind of catches up to the back of the field, and you start to think, the horse might do a little something here. Not going to win, but might do a little something. And look, he gets his way through traffic, has to kind of shift out a little bit. And then once he sets down, at this point, I was doing my Channel 10 break-in, and so I'm standing on the Channel 10 stand going, I can't believe this. What kind of a horse is this? I mean, this was just an incredible performance given the start, the poor start. But again, this is a horse by Shanghai Bobby. The dam had produced a sibling called Harlan's Honor. That one won its career debut, then ran 4th in the second career start, subsequently followed up with a win in the 2014 Colleen, going 5 furlongs on the turf down at Monmouth. I thought on the breeding and being a Todd Pletcher firster, nature and nurture, I thought March X Express would be a player. 4-1 on the morning line. I speculated yesterday the horse would float down. Not only didn't it float down, it floated up. Went off at 5-1. At one point, it was sitting at about 6-1. So perfectly happy. I'm hoping this one got me back on the beam a little bit because, as I said during the Handicappers Report over the past couple of days, really since Sunday, I kind of feel like I'm in treading water a little bit. So it felt good, not only to get that win, but to get that win in that fashion, which was kind of incredible. All right, let me just alert you again to some of the events. Do want to reiterate the Jockey versus Horseman basketball game. That should be an awful lot of fun tonight. We certainly hope you swing by and enjoy it. 7 o'clock, 15 Vanderbilt Avenue. Really, it's like 3 blocks away from the track, the Saratoga Rec Center. Don't forget, Andy Serling is at the Post live radio show down at the Parting Glass. Kicks off at 8 tonight. The Ortiz brothers will be there. Capital OTB is one of the sponsors. So, again, Serling's radio show at the Parting Glass. And don't forget, tomorrow, the Hall of Fame induction. Mark that on your calendar as well. Kicks off at about 10:30, right up East Avenue at the Facing-Tipton Pavilion. A block from the track, literally. Should be a nice event. Goldakova, Victor Espinoza, Garrett Gomez, and Javier Castellano among the inductees. So, again, some of the events to keep in mind over the next day and a half or so. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, our friend Mike Welch is in the house. We'll talk some of the Saturday Stakes action right after this. Stay tuned.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB television network.
In a recent study of some of the top online wagering sites, Capital OTB won big in total player rewards, far surpassing some of the best-known wagering sites in America. While other rewards programs simply offer you points redeemable for gift cards, Capital OTB's rebates are paid to you in actual cash. Plus, Capital OTB gives you full and immediate access to your money. So if all you're getting now are points and gift cards, join Capital OTB Player Rewards today and get cash back. Visit CapitalOTBBet.com and sign up today.
I'm Steve Beck.
And I'm Seth Merrill.
Together, we're loose on the lead on Capital OTB, Sundays at 10 a.m. Why should they watch, Seth?
Sit down on Sunday, have a bagel, get some great racing conversation.
Cream cheese only, no jelly. Sundays, 10 a.m., loose on the lead, Capital OTB.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices, to know how to connect the dots? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool, but not the only tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. These too are important tools, and you'll find them all right here at Capital OTB. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
No matter where in the world you are, the excitement of wagering on horse racing is just a click away. Bet any place, anytime at CapitalOTBBet.com. And be sure to download our new mobile app from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Thursday morning. That means a visit from our friend Mike Welch at the Daily Racing Forum. Good morning, Mike.
Actually filling in for my colleague Dave Brennan, who's here, there, and everywhere. He just so busy this morning with everything that's going on besides the stake action, but other news that he's tracking down as well. So
the James Brown of horse racing, the hardest working guy in horse racing.
He really does work, as you know what. I mean, he comes up here and he puts in a 12-hour day just about every day. Maybe Tuesday afternoon we give him a little break, but other than that, he's straight out from the start of the meet to the end. Tip of the hat to the job he does.
Yeah, leaves the family at home, so that's got to be a drag as well. But
actually, he's been taking Tuesdays and driving home too, so he's been spending some time in the car as well. But
can't blame him.
Nobody does it better.
But we appreciate your stopping by. How was your morning this morning? You work hard too. Again, you're out there doing the works, and I highly recommended to pull up the workout reports at drf.com. A lot of workers out there this morning?
Early, not so many. After the break, it got kind of busy. There's some weather in the forecast, obviously, for Friday night and Saturday. Tomorrow, I think we're going to get really crushed because I think a lot of guys are going to start moving their works up. And Dave is helping with that too. He was over on my side a little bit after the break, and then went over to Oklahoma to catch Todd. Worked everything that he breezed today. Went to the Oklahoma training track. We did have Mind Your Biscuits. I think he moved that work up a day. Just an easy half-mile leg stretcher out in the middle of the racetrack. Joel Rosario was on him. I think he went in 49-1. Nothing serious. He's still got several weeks to go before he's going to run. Next week, I think you'll see him do a little bit more, and then the following week will probably be his big work. So, again, just a leg stretcher for him this morning.
All right, and we had John on Sunday. We talked a little bit about this. I have the stretch run to the Jim Dandy. We'll watch Good Samaritan win, but I'll fold in, because we talked with you on Sunday morning, I'll fold in the Haskell Sunday afternoon with Gervin and McCracken winning. It just seems like the weekend just kind of validated this 3-year-old scene is completely in disarray.
Yeah, I mean, if you weren't sure about it going into the weekend, you're kind of positive now. But the Monmouth race was interesting. I'm not so sure how much the racetrack might have had to do with the final outcome. It looked from a couple of guys that I spoke to that are spent the whole day down there and watched the whole card. They felt that the outside part of the racetrack was better, so it obviously helped the two horses that made the late runs at the end. McCracken just missing, and obviously a race he's going to need first start back since the Derby for Ian Wilkes. And then here too, you know, we talked about it Sunday, kind of a perfect storm for Good Samaritan. There was a lot going on up front, and race really came back to him at the end. Even Giuseppe the Great, who you wouldn't expect to be running at the end, is passing these other horses. Always dreaming. You could see him on the inside. Kind of a strange race for him, kind of working hard there to get third, and then he galloped out well after the race. Happened to see him gallop this morning, and he really looked good. I mean, no draw reins, just going around there, full of energy, though. I actually had his last half mile of the gallop in a minute flat, so he was 2-minute licking all the way, and he apparently has come out of the race well, so I would expect we're going to see him back in the Travers. You know, I'm not so sure what the plans will be for cloud computing as far as that goes, but I'm going to guess Always Dreaming will be back in here, and maybe off of that race going to move forward. But again, you know, there's just everything's up in the air as far as this 3-year-old division goes. So the Travers are going to be a real key race on the road to the Ultimate 3-Year-Old Championship.
Somebody asked me who I thought the favorite would be, and I thought, will it be Good Samaritan or? To me, it's maybe between that one and West Coast.
I think it might be West Coast. I mean, with the races he's run and the success Bob Baffert had coming east here on Belmont Day, and you look back to last year and what happened last year in the Travers, Bob coming in with Arrogant and just blowing everybody away. Nobody really saw that coming except maybe a couple of the clockers out in the West Coast. So I wouldn't be surprised if West Coast himself was the favorite in there.
Yeah, again, it'll be fun to watch, and it's going to play into that 3-year-old division. Hopefully sort things out a little bit. And I've said over the past few weeks, IRAP is – and IRAP may have been flattered by Gervin.
Yeah, no, I mean, you got to put him in the picture right now, too. So, and the West Virginia Derby's coming up this week. Maybe something's going to come out of there that will wind up in the Travers as well. They got time to wheel back, too. Classic Empire, I'm not so sure he's going to make it, but I mean, the rest of them, you know, again, anything can happen, I think, between here and the end of the year as far as that division goes.
Yeah, it is, as I say, in disarray. All right, let's talk a little bit about tomorrow and over the weekend. I wanted to bring up tomorrow because the Hall of Fame tomorrow is just loaded. Really fun race in here. Field of 10. There's one main track only in the field. Grade 2 event going a mile and 16th on the grass for the 3-year-olds. If people who watch me enough know that this is a subdivision that year in and year out I find really intriguing, the 3-year-olds on the grass. I have found Arklow very intriguing all year long. Boy, tossed in that real dud in the Belmont Derby last time. Secretary of War for Jimmy Jerkins, always a contender. Chad Brown has bricks and mortar in here. Bill Mott with Yoshida. Shug's horse snap decision comes out of a nice optional claimer last time. I think you can make cases all over. At 10-1 on the morning line, I think I'll tilt for a rebound from Arklow.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a little bit ambitious, that 10-1. I'd take 10-1 on him right now. I don't think that's going to happen. But, yeah, I actually thought he might be the favorite or second choice in here. If you throw that last race out, you go back to his American turf. You know, I think he's as good as any in here. He got the first 3 finishes from the Manila Bricks and Mortar 3 for 3 won that race. I thought Big Handsome is a horse to look at too, not only for his effort, just got beat in that race, but he came back. I really liked the way he looked working here the other day for Tony Dutchell. The time, it was an even half mile. He went 25:50, something like that, but I loved the way he galloped out, full of energy. He also finished, under a hammerlock too. I mean, they weren't letting him do anything, and then he galloped out really strong around the turn. Snap Decision, I thought, worked real well the other day on the grass too. He is a good workhorse, and a little, he's stepping up. Took him a while to win that A other than condition. Might have had a couple of dicey trips on the way there, but he looks like he's doing well too. And then talking to Shug after the work the other day, he's pretty high on this one's chances too. So as usual in these kind of races, it's all about the trip.
Yeah, it looks like, as I say, a fun edition of the Hall of Fame. That's tomorrow. Let's move on to Saturday. As usual on the big Saturdays, plenty of stakes action. Kicks off early with the Way Up. These are fillies and mares on the grass at 1.5 miles. And a nice field in here. Apple Betty comes out of a stakes win last time for Shug McGahee, gone away. My friends at Augustin, I was, for years it'd be Jonathan Shepard and Augustin. Now Michael Matz brings some of these horses up from the Mid-Atlantic. Suffused on any given day, can toss in a good one. I pulled up a replay going back to July 8th, the R.G. Dick Memorial down at Delaware Park. The number 6 in here is going to be Guilty 12. This was the second win in a row for this one. Just gets up by a chart margin of a nose. The race before that also by a nose, but it seems like he has a nose for the wire, as it were. So off the past couple, Guilty 12 might be a little bit interesting. What did you think of the Way Up?
I mean, it's a small field, but it's a competitive field again too. A lot of ways to go. I kind of like Apple Betty. I've watched her train back at Belmont and then here. She is an excellent workhorse, and she seems to have come out of her last start as well as she went into it. I liked her work the other morning here. And talking to Shug about this horse, he said he got to the paddock the other day and he told Johnny V, just don't. He tried to rate her the first couple of times. He said, just let her do a thing, put her on the front end. And Johnny said, I was hoping you would tell me that. And he thinks that's what she really wants to do. He said she'll run all day, so I would look for Apple Betty to maybe try to steal this one like she stole the last one. And if she gets in front, she may be tough to catch.
And I've said it before on this show, and up here at Saratoga, I think a lot of people who watch the show are maybe kind of new to handicapping. It's counterintuitive, but speed is more dangerous going long than short necessarily.
Yeah,
speed on the front end,
to think that horses that close going 1.1 miles are going to win going 1.25 miles, and that isn't always the case. And I like it when horses going those kind of distances, get loose, and get to relax a little bit. They are tough to catch.
They float out there at 1.5 miles. They're tough to reel in. All right, the Lure restricted stake on the card on Saturday, 1.16 miles on the grass. Stahl brings in the horse coming over first time in the United States. Black Type for Christophe Clement has fired a string of triple-digit buyers, but you have to go back a little ways for that. Ring Weekend won the Kilroe back in 2015 for our friends at West Point. McKagan is another one of those that can always fire big. I pulled up the Poker last time. Projected is going to run second in here. The Poker just seems like year in and year out produces horses that come back and run well up at Saratoga. Projected is going to be the number 2 horse in here. Valor Rocks, the number 3, will win, but just by a neck. And I thought off of that effort, Projected might be a little bit intriguing on Saturday. What were your thoughts?
Well, my first thought is to watch the weather and watch the track condition, because we're supposed to get a lot of rain here Friday and into Saturday. So we may not have a firm turf. We may not have turf at all. Who knows? It depends on how much it rains. That's why Kieran entered Mohamed in here, main track only. And to take it a step further, Todd Pletcher with Red Rifle. This horse wasn't even nominated to the race. They supplemented, and he's in there as a main track only. Todd paying attention to the Weather Channel as well. If this one comes off, it may come down to those two. They're going to keep it on at all costs. But these aren't graded stakes on the grass here Saturday, so more of a chance of coming off if we get a lot of rain. Now, Projected has shown that he can perform on a less than firm turf course. So
the one we just watched was a yielding course.
Yeah, so maybe he's the horse to beat if we get the rain we're supposed to. But not only is the trip now an element, but so is the nature of the turf course. So we're going to have to keep an eye on the weather and see how it affects the turf course for all these graded, I mean, all these turf stakes we have on Saturday.
All right, let's move on to the test annually. I think a lot of people put this up as one of their favorites at the meet every year. 3-year-old fillies sprinting 7 furlongs over the years. We've seen some very nice horses come out of this. It's a Grade 1 event, $500,000 up for grabs. Chad has Your Love, 2 for 2 so far. Probably had that one off to step it up. Chalon, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, came east for Peter Miller and won the Jersey Girl at Belmont last time. Boy, it seems like the Southern California sprinters, when they ship east, male, female, 3-year-old, older, they're always very dangerous. Fabian for Bob Baffert comes east off of a nice win in a stakes race out at Santa Anita most recently. Cuts back off of that, but has sprinted well before. But I pulled up American Gal going back to the victory ride on July 9th. Another Southern California shipper. This one for Simon Callahan, and wins the victory ride by a chart margin of over 4 lengths. Will be the number 3 horse in here. Was the 6-5 favorite that day. To me, the Southern California shippers are the intriguing horses in here, and probably of those, I'm tilting in this direction, American Gal.
I am too, and this was quite an effort. I mean, we only see the last quarter mile here. We didn't see what happened early. She really had some trouble leaving the gate. She got into a speed duel in between horses where horses don't want to be. She was coming off a layoff to boot, so and she's galloping out well. So this was a terrific effort for her. We have 3 California horses in here. The reason so many of them are in this race is there are no 3-year-old filly sprint stakes at the Del Mar meet. So we've got 3 of them. They're 3 of the main contenders. Chalon has already come east to New York and won a stake. American Gal won a graded stake. And then you got Fabian for Bob Baffert, who's coming off a graded stake win, going a distance of ground, turning back to 7/8, a distance she's handled before in a race loaded with speed. So you could expect her to be running late. I'm going to take American Gal myself, coming off that performance there. Of the locals, I just came from Chad Brown's barn to talk to him about Your Love, and he's pretty bullish on her chances. He knows it's a big step up, but he loves the way she's doing. She's back with 3-year-olds, ran against older horses her first 2 starts. Her numbers are good, and she's a horse that's going to come running late as well. So Chad likes her. He was also going to run Jameson and Ginger in here, his recently acquired horse. They worked together last week. He wasn't just, he said, she didn't jump out at me the way she worked. He said, I don't want to put her into a Grade 1 off of that. It wasn't a bad work, but he said it might be just too much for her to do. She just got a gut reaction. This wasn't the spot to run her in off that last work. So he's going to bring her back, work her again. I mean, there's nothing wrong with her. And then choose a spot for her down the road. But he thinks Your Love could step up and be very competitive in here as well.
Speaking of Chad, Karina Mia looked pretty good yesterday, kind of getting some class relief, stepping out of Grade 1s. I had to kind of duke it out down the stretch a little bit, but I thought she always had the other horse measured.
Well, I mean, she was the class of the race, and she asserted her class at the end. She had to kind of wait for room, tipped out. Looked like she was maybe going to win going away, but her stablemate came up the rail and got an even better trip, but class turned out to assert itself at the end, and she did get the narrow win at a short price, but her stablemate ran well too. Again, another Chad Brown 1-2 finish in a big stake race.
A little confidence builder. We talk about Chad and how well he's training. I pulled up earlier during the handicapping show, I pulled up the jockey standings because we were talking about how well the Ortiz brothers are doing. The Ortiz brothers, Castellano, and John Velasquez have won 56 of the 111 races so far. Those 4 guys have won over half of the races.
Wow. I guess this shouldn't be surprising, but that's some telling statistics. That's for sure.
All right, the Whitney, the highlight on Saturday, $1.2 million, Grade 1 event, 9 furlongs, the trip. And I had to pull up the obvious, the Stephen Foster, Churchill Downs back on June 17th. It'll be number 3 Gun Runner. Again, with the setback with Arrogate, he now is flirting for leadership of the division potentially, or they'll duke it out as we move forward. Shaman Ghost, always interesting there as well. But boy, coming out of the second place behind Arrogate in the Dubai World Cup just before this performance, and this is a really nice performance, winning by a chart margin of 7. It seems like he has this field over a barrel on Saturday.
I think the only thing that Steve Asmussen's worried about is the weather. I mean, I know his race in Dubai, it was listed as a muddy racetrack. Last year he did not run well in the Haskell, and I know Steve sort of blame that on the wet racetrack. I don't think he thinks he's at his best on wet racetrack, so he's probably cringing a little bit over the weather forecast. But, you know, unless he doesn't really handle the racetrack, he's definitely the horse to beat. He came out this morning to gallop on the main track, and he was just jumping out of his skin coming away from the pony. He couldn't be doing any better, and I know the confidence level is high there. I mean, look, Keen Ice is training great too. The question is, can he put two of them back to back, two big ones back to back? I mean, obviously he was no match for Gun Runner when they met in Dubai. He's done really well since then. He trained great going into Suburban. He's trained great coming out of the Suburban, but it's still Gun Runner's race to lose. And if Keen Ice can pull off another big Spa upset, we'll see. But I think the weather is probably Gun Runner's main obstacle at this point.
It wouldn't be, just because Triple Crown winner and whatnot, to the average fan, it wouldn't be as big an upset as American Pharoah, but just from a horse racing perspective, if he beats Gun Runner, it's probably almost as big.
Well, not quite the American Pharoah, but like you said, Gun Runner is certainly number 2 in the division. Some might even have him as 1A right now after Arrogate's last performance. So it would be a big upset. Gun Runner, I think, was set at 4-5 in the line. Probably going to be 3-5. Keen Ice will be second choice, somewhere to 2-1 or 5-2. Hard to make a case for any of the others. War Story, I know after talking to trainer George Navarro, he's really bullish on this horse's chances. He said this horse...
And he comes out of a Brooklyn win that was pretty good.
Yeah, and this horse couldn't be doing any better, according to George. He came over here and he worked. Javier worked him a couple of weeks ago. Took to the track real well. That was the little deeper track. The track has changed over the last several days. They did a lot of work on it here Tuesday on the dark day. It's definitely been quicker in the mornings the last few mornings, so it's not quite the same track that War Story worked over here, but it's probably a lot more like the track he's been working over in Monmouth, and he worked just a sensational 6 furlongs last week, according to George. So, if you're looking for something that's not the top 2 choices in here, he's probably the way to go. And he's got a rabbit in there as well, and Cautious Giant, and that situation, as Dave Grenning has tweeted and maybe written about too, they probably should have coupled those 2 horses as an entry, just on the case that if Cautious Giant does something to abet the chances of War Story, if they're an entry, the stewards have the discretion to take the number down. As not an entry, there's nothing they can do about it.
Somebody told me they did that at Finger Lakes yesterday or the day before.
I did not see that, but we also had the same case last year in the Manhattan, that we had an incident of an uncoupled entry in there, and so hopefully, nothing's going to happen here, but Cautious Giant definitely in there as the rabbit for War Story.
And I also found it interesting reading Dave's column. He kind of, and that shows you how the game has changed, he kind of had a little half a sentence explaining what a rabbit was.
Well, that was good. I mean, Dave is thorough. I told you, he does his job. Nobody's
But
better than Dave.
I thought that really says we don't see them that much anymore. When I got in the game, they were not unusual at all. Now, I don't know why, because it seems like a logical thing to do if you have a closer to kind of... owners in the old days would go out and shop around for a good sprinter to be their rabbit.
But they tell me, too, back in the old days, too, the rabbit, once their job was done, they got out of everybody's way. Now you see the rabbit down there in the rail still going. I remember Ramsey had a rabbit in here a couple of years ago in one of the turf stakes. I think it was one of the grade ones. And he was no rabbit. I mean, the jock was in front rating him and trying to win it at the 3/16th pole. And I think the entry mate, if I remember, did get up and win. It was Chad Brown trained the winner. I forgot who trained the rabbit. But you don't want to see that situation where a horse that's in there basically not to win causes trouble for horses that are in there to win. So hopefully that won't be the case on Saturday.
All right, Mike, as always, appreciate the visit. Again, highly recommended for folks to swing by drf.com, pull up your workout reports, good information there on that every day, but also the 2-year-olds can give you a little added information. We appreciate the visit this morning.
My pleasure.
Mike Welch from the Daily Racing Forum. We'll take a break. When we come back, our friend Gene Kirshner from the Buffalo News. He'll join us right after this. Stay tuned.
No matter what you're craving or when you crave it, we've got plenty of options for you. Whether it's a hearty breakfast, light lunch, or relaxing dinner, our full-service restaurant and bar will satisfy your every taste. The Diamond Club at Embassy Suites, where the world meets in Saratoga.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. with live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Don't miss the 2017 Thorofan Annual Awards Brunch with special guest speaker Donna Barton Brothers. This annual event is Saturday, August 12th at the Embassy Suites in Saratoga Springs, New York. Go to thorofan.com for tickets and information.
With more than 60 Easy Bet and branch locations throughout the region, you're just a short drive from all the top tracks across the country and around the world. For a complete list of all Easy Bet and branch locations, visit capitalotb.com. Capital OTB. We're closer than you think.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops. My bad. Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Going on now at Capital OTB. It's Bet 100, get 100. Simply open a new Capital Bets account. Bet $100 and get $100 cash back. That's free money just in time for Saratoga. Bet 100, get 100 now at Capital OTB.
With Saratoga's best outdoor patio, a spacious bar, and plenty of off-street parking, it's the perfect place to meet friends and relax after an exciting day at the track. The Diamond Club at Embassy Suites, where the world meets in Saratoga.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. It is a Thursday morning live from the Saratoga backstretch. It's turning out to be a gorgeous day. An hour or so ago when we kicked off with handicapper support, a little overcast, but the sun is out. Looks like a beautiful day up here at Saratoga. Happy to be joined now by our friend Gene Kirshner from the Buffalo News, accountant by day, racing columnist, I guess also by day. It's not necessarily racing columnist by night, as it were. But good morning.
Good morning, Seth. Thanks for having me on. This week I'm racing columnist by day because I've been up here for a week, really enjoying my time at Saratoga, obviously.
And we have you on plenty by phone during the course of the year, but I think this is the first time you've been with us at the desk.
Yeah, this is tremendous. It's great that you invited me on. We got a lot of stuff going on this week at Saratoga. I got a chance to go to the National Museum of Racing.
You said you made your first visit.
I'd never been there. I'm a voter, and I said, well, I better get over there and see the place. And it's just fantastic. I probably could have spent hours over there.
They added the simulator. Did you try the simulator?
I didn't. There wasn't anyone around. It said that they needed an attendant to be there, and I really didn't want to take the chance.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Just in case. But the museum is highly recommended. It's right across the street from the racetrack, and if you're into horse racing, you don't want to miss it. Speaking of into horse racing, how did you get into horse racing, and then how did you get into writing for the Buffalo News?
Well, my first Derby my friends took me to was in 2006. I saw Barbaro win the Derby, and then really got into it, really enjoyed it. And I started a blog in 2008, the Equispace blog, which was part of the TVA, the Thoroughbred Bloggers Alliance. And the NTRA asked me to cover a race at the 2009 Breeders' Cup, the Dirt Mile, and I hit furthest land in it, so it was good. In 2010, unfortunately, the happy handicapper Bob Summers passed away at the Buffalo News, so I approached Steve Jones, who's the editor there, and no one on the beat wanted to take it, any of the beat writers, so they asked me to take it, and 7 years later, here I am sitting on Capital OTB television with you, Seth.
Yeah, and you do a great job, and people can follow you via the Buffalo News website, and we link to a bunch of stuff on Equidaily during the year and talk to you about some of those, and we'll hit on some of those as we move along here. But again, talk a little bit about horse racing out in Buffalo. Do you ever go out to the harness track out there?
Yeah, go over Buffalo Raceway and Batavia Downs. There's two harness tracks right in our area. I don't cover either one of those. I'm strictly thoroughbred. But what's interesting for Buffalo, there's 4 tracks within 90 minutes of Buffalo. You've got Fort Erie right over the bridge, about maybe a 7-iron over the Peace Bridge, and then you've got Woodbine up north in Toronto. Then down either side of the thruway, you can hit Finger Lakes going east, and going west, you can hit Presque Isle Downs and Erie. So a number of OTBs in the Western New York Buffalo area, so it's really a hotbed. And every year the Derby ranks probably in the top 5 in television ratings. Yeah. The Preakness usually top 10, and I don't know if that people in Buffalo just don't have anything better to do than watch television. But no, it's really a racing hotbed, and it's great that the newspaper still has me going. I think it's a dying breed as far as having a columnist.
Yeah,
so.
no, I applaud him for having a racing columnist. And as I say, you do a great job. Were you out the Prince of Wales at Fort Erie?
I was there on Tuesday night last week. There was an upset. Cool Cat of Mine was in the winner's circle, and I was fortunate enough to be standing right in front of the breeders of the horse, and they started yelling, "Terrell, Terrell," and I said, "What does that mean?" And I guess that was their pet name for the horse, after some house in the Game of Thrones or something. So it turned into a nice story for me because I was right in the right place at the right time. But I do cover the Canadian Triple Crown as well as the American Triple Crown, and it's because it's so close.
I've never been to Fort Erie, but we used to have Elisa Blow on with us every week to talk a little Fort Erie when we were doing the Tuesday show, and just watching the simulcast signal, looks like a nice little track.
Oh, it's a beautiful track. The infield is covered with flowers and lakes and all types of things. They have one race every year, Puss in Boots, where the jockey has to jump in the lake, gets thrown in the lake, which is fun. But it's a really nice track. They have the one big race, $500,000, the Prince of Wales, but mostly running 20,000 and under there.
You talked about the Triple Crown. We saw you. We were up doing programming Queen's Plate at Woodbine, and I wanted to pull up the replay of that and just get a little replay and thoughts on Holy Helena, because I'm assuming we're going to see her up here. Holy Helena is going to be the number 3 horse, and she's going to beat the boys here in the Queen's Plate, which I think just exposed the 3-year-old males, as the 3-year-old males here south of the border have been exposed after the Triple Crown season a little bit. She looked great. Brian Addo was up with me, and as we were driving home, we were saying, boy, it seems like she could have taken the Canadian Triple Crown, but I guess Frank Stronach came up in the press box afterwards and kind of hinted it seems like they'll head to the Alabama, and off of that effort, you think she'll be a player there as well, but that was a nice performance.
Yeah, I think she'll have a better chance than Inglorious did a few years ago. The Canadian Triple Crown, especially the Queen's Plate, has been very nice to fillies. Yeah. You had Lexi Liu a few years ago winning it, and Inglorious, so 3 in the last 7 years that I've been covering, which is pretty interesting. She'll have a shot in the Alabama. I think she's a by go sapper, so she's got good breeding, and she definitely can get the distance. And I think she could have ran it at Fort Erie on the dirt. I think she ran at Belmont, a pretty good race, her for a race before the plate. So. And
that's what's unique about the Canadian Triple Crown: synthetic, dirt, and then they come back to Woodbine for turf.
Yeah, and I was talking to Mike Keogh, who's a trainer up there, who was the last Triple Crown trainer of Wando in 2003, and I was trying to get him to agree with me that maybe they should just run it on one surface up at Woodbine, and he said, I hate synthetics, so my column went out the window in about 2 minutes on that.
Yeah, the downside of being a columnist, sometimes it all doesn't work out. All right, wanted to bring up one of your columns, one of our favorites every year. You do it at the end of the year, the Racing Kreskin column, and as I was driving in this morning, I thought, do we have to remind people who Kreskin? I like younger people not familiar with Kreskin, the mentalist.
He would be able to predict things, and he would put his thing up to his head and make different predictions. And
is that Carson show and Bert Griffin?
The crystal ball, and he could foresee the future. So yeah, I'm probably dating myself a little bit, but it's a little light column I like to do in December every year, along with the Festivus column in the news, just to keep things light and predict what's going to happen in the 2017 racing year, different things, and I've had different themes over the years, and I try to keep, to the Triple Crown and then to the Breeders' Cup and something about the Canadian Triple Crown. And one of them was, that the plate winner wouldn't run in Fort Erie in the Prince of Wales, and I nailed that one, so that's good. I'm actually on fire, Seth. I got like 3 in a row.
Yeah, the end of the year, you're doing all right. The beginning of the year was a little dicey. Neither Chrome nor Arrogate will win the Pegasus.
I missed that one. I swung and missed.
Yeah, you did swing. You definitely
swung for the fence there.
But as we get to the end of the year, the Queen's Plate winner will skip the Fort Erie. You had that down there. And then this is a good one. The Haskell hat will be green. There it is. There's the Haskell hat. This is in January. The Haskell hat was given out last weekend. That's a pretty good prediction.
Bam. Well, you got to do a little research. It was 1997 was the last green hat, and actually I've whiffed on that one for 10 straight years. So it may not make the ledger. It may not make the ledger next year.
I'm going to give you another one though that I think you're going to nail at the bottom of your list. An older horse wins the Classic at Del Mar. With the 3-year-olds this year, I'm going odds on that one already.
Yeah, that was my safety pin, So if I'm 0 for 9, I'm going to probably hit that one. And I used to put, Pletcher's going to win the training title just to make sure at Saratoga to make sure I get one. But
I'm thinking Songbird defeating Grade 1 males in a Grade 1 at Saratoga.
But I'm close there, right? So because I hear she's nominated for the Pacific Classic, which is not Saratoga, but.
Yeah. We'll give you half credit.
I might take a half on that one if she runs.
Or if she came up here and won the personal ensign, that would be a Grade 1.
But it wouldn't be against males, which Hollendorfer said all along he wasn't going to run her against males. So
partial credit on that one. But again, the Kreskin column always a lot of fun. Festivus will remind us about the Festivus column every year.
Yeah, that's the feats of strength and the airing of grievances. So I'll note a few things that happened during the racing year. Again, that's a December column just because there's not a whole lot going on at racing at that time.
And for folks who aren't familiar with that, for folks who aren't Seinfeld fans, it's a Seinfeld reference with the Festivus for the rest of us.
It's a fun one. I think I used Arrogate last year for feats of strength in his Travers, setting the track record and at 1.25 miles at Saratoga. And then the airing of grievances, I think I've put in there a couple times, reviving the National Pick 4, which I think was a great bet. It was one of the things that got me interested in racing back in the day. I'd print out the 4 races PPs and I'd sit at home and watch it on television and, really got into it. And, they're starting to bring that back a little bit. They had the one on Haskell Day, right?
Yeah, Monmouth and New York. But, and they had another one fairly recently, too. I'm not sure. There was out to California and back, but I agree. And the funny thing is, it was really popular. So why it disappeared, I can't quite figure out. And it may just be a function of tote systems and different tote systems.
Yeah, having those talk to each other, IT guys.
Yeah, no question about it. Also had an interesting column just before Saratoga, Saratoga A to Z, and you go through the alphabet. And as I'm reading, I'm thinking, what's he going to do for X and Z? But X was kind of clever, X's scratches. But you lucked out with Z.
Z was easy, zippy chippy over at Old Friends, and that column was. I was trying to get that for the layperson who goes to Saratoga. Where do I go? What do I do? What are the things that I can do? So B for Broadway, and obviously there was a bar theme in there with the S for Ciros and Sperry's, and D for Druthers, and H for Hattie's. So different things to do in the Yaddo, Y for Yaddo. So I struggled with you for a while. And I wasn't sure what to do, and I went with Union Avenue, was where the track address is. So, for the lay person going up to Saratoga, they could, it's kind of a roadmap for them.
And again, these are kind of the fun columns, but on a regular basis, you're covering some of the. And typically, were you at all 3 Triple Crown events?
Yes, I go to all 3.
Breeders' Cup as well.
And I go to the Breeders' Cup, the 2 Canadian Triple Crown races. I'd love to go to the 3rd one if we could ever get there, which is the Breeders' Stakes, as you mentioned. That's the one on turf at 1.5 miles, similar to the Belmont. And then I cover the Travers, obviously, and once in a while I'll get down to the Haskell. So.
And obviously you're here. We see a number of times during the Saratoga meet. Just talk a little bit about Saratoga, and you're. I would say 2006. You're a fairly recent racing fan. At least compared to me, I've been a fan since I was a kid. But how did Saratoga come into the mix, and what does it mean as, again, a fairly new racing fan?
It really, the Derby really hooked me, but Saratoga was my introduction in 2004. So about 13 years ago. I was 40 years old. Never even made a bet on a racetrack, and here I am, I'm a racing columnist now. But my friend was the executive director of the New York State Wagering and Gaming Board. And he brought me out here for 2-3 days, and I just fell in love with the ambiance of the place, and learned how to bet. And I was, as a typical accountant, I was keeping a ledger of all my bets and how I was doing.
Which could be a mistake.
Yeah, it was good back then, not so good now.
You don't want to be reminded of that. And had a nice B&B this week. Folks who are kind of looking around, you worked out a nice deal. If you look, you can find some deals.
Yeah, I did it early because my wife is actually the marketing director for the Buffalo Bills, and she's at training camp, staying in the dorms at St. John Fisher, and I took the opportunity to come to Saratoga for a week since she wasn't going to be home. And I found a rental over near the hospital. It was great. It was like a man cave type of situation where you walk in, there's a pool table, a fully stocked bar, 65-inch TV to watch, the OTB channel in the morning, and nice leather couches to handicap on at night. So it was I got really lucky.
Yeah. We don't want to gloss over that because I know you're a big Buffalo Bills fan. I know you've got great seats in the past, but the wife now working for the Bills will probably get a little upgrade on the
Yeah,
seats.
she's got 4 on the 50 now, but I kind of like my seats, so I'll let her use those as she pleases. But it's all Bills all the time right now, which is fun.
Yeah, very good. Gene, as always, appreciate the visit. Again, Gene Kirshner, racing columnist for the Buffalo News. You can check it out online at the Buffalo News website. Is it a certain day every week?
Every Friday, I have an online column, and then my print stuff is just on the big races.
So pull that up, Friday's Buffalo News website. Gene, appreciate the visit.
Thanks, Seth.
All right, we're going to head to the wrap-up of the show on this Thursday. Again, pop over to the Saratoga Rec Center, 15 Vanderbilt Avenue, 7 o'clock, the Jockey versus Horseman basketball game. That should be a lot of fun. 8 o'clock, Andy Serling with his radio show down at the Parting Glass. That's always a great event as well. Those are coming up today. 10:30 tomorrow, Hall of Fame inductions up the street at the Facing Tipton Pavilion. Do want to remind you also that today is a Fan Appreciation Day at the Gloversville branch. Swing on by, let us say thank you to you. Tomorrow, the Bounty Bet is back, $1,200 plus in the Bounty. All right, going to wrap things up for this edition of Racing Across America. Back tomorrow morning at about 9 o'clock for the Handicappers Report. In the meantime, enjoy the racing this afternoon. We'll see you again tomorrow morning.
You've been watching Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America has been brought to you by CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier online wagering site in New York State. CapitalOTBBet.com. Sign up today. Pannell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. Thoroughfan, giving the fan a voice. Find them at thoroughfan.com. Woodbine Racetrack. Pick, bet, and cheer on world-class horse racing north of the border. And the new Capital OTB mobile app. Wager anytime, any place, anywhere. Download it free from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.